Fans expect to see entertainers promoting their hard work with enthusiasm and pride, but the press junket days are long, and after 12 hours of being asked the same questions, it can be hard for even the best actors to fake enthusiasm. Occasionally, things don't go as planned, and performers don't respond to the idea of promotions in the way we'd expect. Sometimes that means turning their backs on their own work completely. Here are 10 famous actors who refuse to promote their own movies. George Clooney. At this point, pretty much everyone is on board with the fact that Batman and Robin was the worst film in the character's history. It was cartoonishly over the top and gave the world something it never needed: bat nipples. And while it's no surprise the movie got raked over the coals by fans, what's interesting is how bad George Clooney feels about it. Make no mistake, the actor hates the film and doesn't mince words about it. But what seems to sting him the most is how badly it wounded the franchise. Apparently, he even personally apologized to Adam West for it. In interviews, Clooney's called Batman and Robin a waste of money. It seems like he hates it more than any of us could, and that's enough to earn him at least some forgiveness. Johnny Depp. More than once, we've heard celebrities bemoaning the loss of privacy that comes with fame, but lots of people argue that it's just part of the job. If people are interested in reading about an actor, that should be a good thing, right?
No, it's not.
Johnny Depp doesn't hold back when talking about how much he hates being famous. He argues that performing should be treated like any other job you can leave behind at the end of the day, and his outlook extends to interviews as well, so it's not easy to get the actor to sign on for press events. But given how bankable he's proven to be, his popularity status seems to be unbreakable, no matter how hard his last string of flops may have tried. Jim Carrey. When funny men turn serious, it has a jarring effect on audiences, and because of that, very few comedians have found success in non-comedic roles. And while some of his dramatic attempts have received mixed reviews, Jim Carrey proved to be one of the few performers who's ultimately held his own in both genres. When he decided to return to comedy for 2013's Kick-Ass 2, audiences were pumped, and so was he. But shortly after the tragedy in Sandy Hook, the actor's enthusiasm for the film disappeared completely. After reflecting on the project, the actor took to Twitter, where he explained that he can no longer support anything related to child violence, and that in good conscience he could not do any press for a film in which kids act so violently. Some followers suggested he donate his Kick-Ass 2 paycheck to a charity with a similar outlook, but on that point, Carrey held no opinion. Shia Labeouf. If you thought the most recent installment of the Indiana Jones franchise was an insult to its legacy, you're not alone. 2008's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has caught flack from almost everyone who's seen it. And thanks to the reliably unreliable Shia LaBeouf, we know that the actors hated it too. He stated that the movie dropped the ball and told multiple interviewers how much he despised it. But it wouldn't be dramatic enough if only one cast member was disappointed, so LaBeouf was sure to mention that Harrison Ford didn't like it either, which kind of feels a little like tattletaling. Edward Norton. Edward Norton has a very particular approach to his craft, and if he feels like the content can't match his ability as a performer, then it's not worth his time to talk about it. During the junket for 2008's The Incredible Hulk, that's exactly what happened. Norton was allegedly very adamant about changes being made to the script during filming.
You don't understand, something really bad is about to happen here.
Arguing for constant rewrites made him hard to work with, and even harder to stay on track. The actor maintains that he simply had high hopes for the movie, and once he realized they wouldn't be met, he spoke up about it. Thanks to a creative marketing strategy, he didn't have to do much talking after that, and his promotional tour was considerably shortened.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Chris Evans. Thanks to the massive success of the MCU, it might be hard to remember a time before Chris Evans was Captain America, and that's probably because he's been so perfectly cast as a Star-Spangled Avenger. But during one interview where the actor was looking back at his body of work, he revealed something that surprised fans. After reminiscing, he stated that out of the roughly 20 films he's been a part of, he's only proud of about 3. Ever the classy gentleman, Evans left the conversation at that, and allowed the specifics to remain a mystery. Still, we really hope Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is among his favorites.
What's up? How's life? He seems nice.
Phenomenal cosmic powers!
Itty bitty living space.
Robin Williams. Robin Williams' voice work for the character of Genie was top-notch. Even though some audiences think the sequels left a lot to be desired, Williams as Genie in the first and third installments of Aladdin proved to be reliably enjoyable. But around the time of the original's release in 1992, it wasn't the only movie he was promoting. In order to boost promotion for his other film, Toys, the actor requested that the marketing team behind Aladdin not focus too much on Genie. It must be an odd feeling to compete with yourself. And thankfully for audiences, he did a lot of great work because of it. Daniel Craig. In case you haven't heard, Daniel Craig is pretty much over the whole James Bond thing. And when talking about it in an interview, he mentioned that he'd rather slash his wrist than think about reprising his role as 007. Thanks to the rigorous rounds of press he was required to do for 2015 Spectre, the actor had more than a few opportunities to voice his disdain for the classic character. Misogynistic and flighty, Craig argues that Bond is part of the problem with how Hollywood handles depictions of masculinity, and a lot of people definitely agree. But since audiences are so used to being told what an honor it is to play the legendary spy, the actor's candidness threw a lot of people for a loop, including the movie's PR team. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds hated Boogie Nights so much that he fired his agent for recommending him the role. Reynolds reportedly hated the pacing of the movie, arguing it didn't flow coherently, and that got him in trouble a couple of times on set. Leading up to the release, Reynolds wasn't really included in any promotions. It might have something to do with what co-star Mark Wahlberg referred to as a piss-poor attitude, which affected his outlook during filming. Still, when given the opportunity, Burt Reynolds takes shots at the film and reminds everyone just how much he loathed the experience. But Boogie Nights went on to be successful anyway.
All day, all night, you feel my hee-hee.
Bill Murray. There are a handful of people in Hollywood who have very similar names, and when those people get mixed up, some super weird movies get made. So when a script by Joel Cohen landed in front of Bill Murray, he jumped at the opportunity to work with a great comedic mind responsible for movies like The Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men, and Burn After Reading. Murray admits he was a little worried about whether or not a cat named Garfield could carry an entire movie, and when he learned that the story wasn't actually written by the Coen brothers, it was too late. He had signed on to work with the Joel Cohen behind Daddy Day Camp and Cheaper by the Dozen. Murray reportedly scrambled to make the script funnier once he realized he was locked in, but he was overruled at every turn. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any actors who refuse to promote their own movies? Tell us about them in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.